Alrighty. Hi guys. As you may have noticed, I'm not live. I know. Because I said yesterday, which I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving, by the way, um, that I was worried because today I'm supposed to be hearing back about my apartment, whether or not we're moving in today. So, preemptive measure. I wanted to get a video up for you guys anyway today, so we're doing this instead. So it'll be at the normal time, it'll still be sent out to the email list and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's just in case. Just in case. So today I really wanted to talk to everybody as one last preparation for our Fool's Journey, our Fool's Intuitive Journey series next week, is looking at the history behind your deck. So a few months ago, which is a true story, I was in a free group, and I believe it was just a free magic group. And this girl was going around and she was having issues with this deck. She got the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot. And if you don't know it, go look at it. The imagery is really, really interesting. And she was completely lost. And she messaged me about it because her friend had given it to her as a gift. And didn't realize that she was completely new to tarot. It was just completely it was so out there for her because it wasn't based off of any of the, systems. It wasn't Thoth, Rider-Waite, or Marcellus. So she was looking at it and she's like, I don't understand. And she knew I was an intuitive coach, so I was working with her on it. I told her, number one, you need to go look at the history behind this, because this author specifically, and read the book. I usually don't encourage reading the book when it comes to, taking out a deck and looking at it. Usually I'm like, no, go off your brain. But in this instance, because it's on its own system, you gotta at least look at the author's notes. Because authors sometimes, and artists, will take their own perspective on a deck, and that's where you get things like the Dreams of Gaia, which we're going to be using next week. That's how you get things like the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot, where they base it more off of the lore of the voodoo culture and their history than anything, more mainstream. So it can really weird some people out because they're not sure what the hell they're looking at. And those are usually the decks when it comes to when you're reading with a client or even doing a reading for yourself. It's not the first deck you pick up, because it'll have third eyes, or the imagery will be really bold and really scary looking, but it's there for a purpose. So Google will be of no help in this situation. It won't help you in the slightest, but reading the author's notes will. And even going to the library and looking up some things on voodoo culture, their history, their mythology would have been great for her. For example, also, just because it's sitting right here, I have the Wisdom of the Golden Path Tarot. Well, it's not tarot, it's oracle cards. And this is based all around Chinese and Japanese imagery. So it has samurais, it has concubines and geishas, because there is a difference. 2 different countries, 2 different things. So it has different things like that, and if you don't know a little bit about traditional Chinese and Japanese imagery, done in a little more modern way, then you might be a little put off. I know there is a specific tarot deck that is just original Chinese calligraphy paintings, and it makes it really difficult for some people to understand what in the world's going on. So, and like I said, contrary to belief, research doesn't mean hopping on Google or going to the library. The author's notes are going to be awesome. So, for example, Raven Flan, I probably butchered her name, for the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. Look how big this box is, first of all. Let's get good lighting here. Look how big this box is. And if you actually, because this is one of those decks that I let my cards live in the box. Look how big this book is. I'm used to tiny little pamphlets, She added major arcana. She added 4, and she completely revamped the meanings. So for example, the Fool in here is choice, as we saw last week, And even just going through the major arcana, I doubt you can read that. Yeah, there we go. You can kind of read all the different names here. You got healing, love, the crone is, yeah, the moon is the crone. You got perception, faith, and her idea behind it, let me see if I can find it real quick. The philosophy of the cards is simple: to seek, to feel, to grow, and to heal. So, first, to seek is the first chunk. Whoa, lighting. To seek is the first chunk of the major arcana, then to feel, then to grow, then to heal. And that was her idea for getting you through connecting with the spirit realms of the divine and learning more about yourself in an intuitive sense. I don't know why it got so dark. Okay. So it makes more sense, especially because she explains it. And if you go through each of the cards, let's do a random card here. Haha, integrity. So if we go through this, if it'll do lighting, yeah. She doesn't give keyword, she kind of gives some up here, but she gives phrases for hers. So integrity, whichever card this would replace, this is number 23, so this is past the end of the major arcana. It's act with honesty and honor, walk your talk. Integrity. So she doesn't give keywords, she gives you phrases, and she actively encourages, don't read the 3 pages I've dedicated to this card unless you really want to. If you're just going through here trying to do a reading on yourself, only look at the key phrases. You know? And then, for example, Stacey DeMarco with the Halloween Oracle, as we saw, we know when I unboxed it, it gave information for each and every card on the history of Dia de los Muertos, Samhain, the different mythologies and histories of the Halloween season, a couple of horror characters like with the werewolf and the zombie and the mummy. So it added some of those in, and she gave a little bit of history first and then what it means, so you could get that context. And if you didn't have the book, as tiny as it is, if you didn't have it with you and you just pulled out the card, you're like, I'm just going to treat this like a regular oracle deck and just read the words on the bottom. Don't do that. Yeah, there's always more to it, because I know that's a little bit of a mini argument that oracle decks aren't as in-depth as tarot cards, and that's bullshit. That's really bullshit. They can be incredibly minute. Like, even, it's not a tarot deck, but let me pull out Wisdom of Golden Path here. So, even just comparing, again, there's an oracle deck, but how thick? How thick? Look at that. That's freaking ridiculous. And you're going to get decks like this that have this little or none at all, like the Gothic Horror Tarot that we're going to be looking at, doesn't have any of that. It doesn't have a book, because when I went and interviewed the artist myself, because I wanted to do an article for my blog for him, he said he was just going based off of, you know, the Rider-Waite system. And he just wanted to add a little bit of H.P. Lovecraft in there. So, that's just his thing. But if we go in here and we get a card, for example, Jade Mountain, okay? Ooh, you see what I mean? That's fucking gorgeous. It's beautiful. So, we've got the Jade Mountain, and this is all alphabetical, so it's not even the order of which you get the cards. Ah, Jade Mountain. Not only is it all oracle-y and, you know, philosophical about it, like something magical soon occurs and you feel like celebrating, but Stacey DeMarco also added mantras at the bottom. So whenever I do a reading from this deck, I always say Stacey DeMarco included these mantras with this card. Here's the mantra. If you want to use it for meditation, go for it. If you just want to see it as, ooh, pretty words, go for it. But it's important to include because the author had a specific intention. And then, for example, Moni Farber, my very first deck, Enchanted World Tarot, which they've revamped it since then as the Zen Farber deck. I have the original tiny-ass cards, Enchanted World. that I still don't particularly care for, but we're going to use it anyway. He included a meditation CD with it. And so tarot readers could understand both his meanings and get their own meanings by meditating with each and every card. And the entire CD has all 72 or 78? 78. Has all 78 cards on this CD for you to meditate to. And as a beginner, because that was my very first deck, I was like, holy shit, I don't understand. I've never seen tarot before in my life, let alone meditated. So I was a little bit freaked out. But if he didn't include it, it would have made it so much harder, you know? Especially because his book was the thinnest of all. It was a weird shape. And then the art style is Renaissance meets geometry. It was weird. So it makes it a little difficult if you're a beginner on what the hell do I do with this. And that's why we're going to go through these 3 different decks. Take it slow, and we're going to have some fun with this. So, this is the plan. Now that we're like, look at the history behind each card. This is the plan for next week. We are still having our intuitive series, despite all the messiness going on right now. From the 28th to the 30th, it will be at noon Mountain Standard Time every day. So that is 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Excuse me, that was weird. So that's what we're doing each and every day. Because we're only going over the majors, we're going to take 7 to 8 cards a day. The last day may be 8. We're going to take 7 cards a day and we're going to go through it. Okay. And again, you have to sign up for the list in order to get the replays and to get the little workbooks that I'm going to send out. Because yes, I'm giving workbooks and they're going to be fun. And the workbooks will have the Rider-Waite imagery for you to compare your deck to. And it's got a space at the bottom where you can write, and it's got all kinds of correspondences on it, and it's going to be awesome. So, it's going to be great. It's going to be really, really fun, and you're going to leave feeling so much more intuitive about it. And it'll be kind of like a mini class, and it's free. I don't know. I'm sorry if I slipped up somewhere and said it was paid. No, it's not. I promise. It's free. The only way that you're going to get this afterwards and get all the freebies and all the awesome content is if you buy my course, my Start Reading Tarot Intuitively course. And I will tell you more about that next week as well, because my sale on that is ending on the 30th. So, well, not the 30th, on December 1st. So, you're going to hear a little bit more about that next week. Okay? I know this is a little weird because I'm not live and I can't see people on the side and talk to people, but I figured at least you guys get to hear some more about reading intuitively and get ready for this series. And I really encourage you to sit down in between now and Tuesday when we start the series. Sit down, look at your own deck. Maybe it's a deck you hate, maybe it's a deck you love, and if it comes with a book, read it. Like, read the author's notes and see what their intention was for it. Because if your deck is a little bit different than the ones I'll be presenting, then that's going to mean something different to you. I am going to show the Rider-Waite images so we can compare, but it's still going to mean something different to you if your deck doesn't look like anything that I have. So I really encourage you to do that between now and then. And if you don't have a deck, you can go online and just use the Rider-Waite images, or whatever appeals to you. If you go on Tumblr and get an indie deck, like the Sailor Moon deck, and pick that and go with it, then totally, that's up to you. Go for it. Godspeed. Sailor Moon power. But I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, an awesome weekend, and I will officially see you, and I will be